Hello, my name is Hopper the Devoted. I am here at D&D Castle on site at our Summer USA Castle here at Thalian's Rest with the Jason Charles Miller right here and a little buddy behind us, it looks like. Yes,
Yeah, a friend.
a little friend. Excited to chat today about what's going on today as well as your upcoming spring adventure. How you doing?
That's right. I'm doing great.
Great,
It's my
yeah.
first time here at this location. This
Yeah.
is my fifth castle
Wow.
running stuff.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Excellent. How is it going so far? We're on game day 3
Yeah.
with your players.
I'm feeling pretty good. Game day 3 is always when you plan out 24 hours of gameplay, you never know where exactly you're going to land. And I think we're close to being on schedule, so that's good.
Awesome. It's their last day. How are they doing so far?
They seem to be doing great. We had an almost character death already, but somebody rescued him, so that's good. And actually, we used one of the tokens that we use here at the castle for a little extra zhuzh, I guess you could say.
Oh yeah, we have a little extra meta event that can be played into the game.
Yeah, so a token actually saved a character's life.
Excellent. We love to hear it. Well, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions today. I would love to hear a little bit of teaser about your upcoming spring campaign. You're joining us this spring in the UK in 2026. So I would love to hear a little bit about that as well. So can you give us a non-spoilery teaser about what you have in store for your players?
Yes. Well, now that the Lord of the Rings role-playing game uses D&D rules, we're able to use the world of Middle-earth. So I decided to write a campaign that starts 1 year after the One Ring has been destroyed. There's still a lot of cleanup that needs to be done. There's still a lot of evil in the world of Middle-earth that needs to be sussed out. So my characters will start at a certain famous inn in Middle-earth, and then they'll figure out what happens from there.
Oh, so it's going to be up to them, huh? Yeah, awesome.
Luckily for me, that's a world that I'm most familiar with, a fantasy setting that I'm absolutely most familiar with. And so kind of anywhere they want to go is all in here.
Awesome. How long have
fully open world.
Ooh, awesome. How long have you been into Lord of the Rings, or why did you get started?
Yeah, since I was like 10 years old. Right around the same time I started playing D&D, I started reading Lord of the Rings. So they sort of go hand in hand.
So you were one to play with for all of that mixed together.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah. How did you get into D&D?
My cousin. Wesley had the game, and we were hanging out one holiday, and he decided to show me how to play. And I made this great character, but then within 5 minutes, he was a brutal DM. Within 5 minutes, I was penniless and naked on the streets. Weaponless, everything. He taught me a valuable lesson in what can happen in Dungeons and Dragons and in life.
Amazing. But you kept going, it sounds like you liked it.
I did keep going. Didn't play with him as much, but I kept going.
Amazing. It always sounds like it's a family member that seems to bring people into D&D.
Yeah, and then it turned out some neighbors of mine played, and then some other neighbors of mine played, and other neighbors of mine played a game called Gamma World, which was put out by the same company at the time, and that took place more in like an apocalyptic future. So getting into more role-playing games was something that I constantly wanted to learn new rule sets. I wanted to play in new worlds in different settings.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite one that you like to play in?
I mean, honestly, Faerun, the setting that's mainly for 5th edition. Also, Greyhawk is a great place to play. But Faerun, I think, because that has been part of the D&D lore for so long, it's another world that I know a lot of what's going on and where everything is. So that's easier for me to play.
Amazing. That's super fun. I would love to hear just kind of about you as a DM. How did you start DMing? You started playing with your cousin, so how did you get into being a dungeon master?
I don't even really remember. I think sometimes at first you're a dungeon master out of necessity, right? If you're the one that has devoured all the books and read all the rules, guess what? You're the dungeon master now. Yeah. What? No.
So you've been doing it for a little bit, huh?
Yeah, just a little
Yeah,
bit.
just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of player would like to be at your table for spring, or even any of your tables?
I like to keep things pretty balanced, to have a good balance of role play, puzzle solving, and combat. And then, of course, that depends on what the players want too, because the player can push it in one direction or another, depending on how different things that happen in the adventure that I design.
Wonderful. So it sounds like you can be pretty flexible with the player that comes to your table and how their style is.
Yeah, and then I try to keep it as balanced as I can for every player, so that everyone's always participating and no one feels left out.
I like that. That's a great way to make it sure everyone feels welcome.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Um, so we know that you're not just a dungeon master. You've done a couple other things like songwriting and voice acting. And I would love to know, how does your creative process for songwriting overlap with your creative process for creating a campaign, if it does?
I'm not, I don't know. The short answer is I don't know.
Okay.
Because often when you're writing a song, either you're writing a song for a specific assignment. I've written a lot of music for video games, cartoons, commercials, television shows, even movies. And um, when I know what is needed for a specific um, slot that needs to be filled, it's a lot easier for me to kind of focus in on that. Whereas when I'm writing music for myself, or if I'm writing music for um, a D&D campaign, I open myself up more to the possibilities of what could happen. And I always think about what my players would be doing to try to break it, right? Like you're
Yeah.
trying to make the unbreakable game, or so you think.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever been successful so far, but whatever you do, somebody will find a way to break it.
Yeah. So have people broken your game already while you're here?
So yeah, and then I adjust.
They'll never know.
Yeah,
Maybe never know. Awesome.
that
Um,
is one thing that I do here at the castle too. Is after our prologue, after day one, after day two, right after this interview, I rewrite things. I
yeah.
go back and move things around and adjust as they need to be for the player experience. So I'm always tinkering.
That's awesome. That's a great way to stay flexible with your players, and we all know D&D players will surprise you
Hmm.
with their actions. So you've been to the castle 5 times. You said this is your 5th time.
Yeah.
What keeps you coming back to D&D in a castle?
I think what keeps me coming back is, first of all, the fun, the absolute fun, even as a dungeon master, which sometimes cannot be a fun job. Sometimes it's not fun.
Yeah.
Newsflash. But here it's always fun. You're surrounded by all these amazing settings, by scenery. When we're at the other castles in England, I mean, the history there, that part keeps you inspired. Also, the the idea of that you're concentrating on something, you don't have to worry about anything from the outside world while you're there. It becomes a completely immersive experience, and I think it's fun for the players and for the DMs. That's why so many of us keep coming back.
Yeah, it's really fun to have this grand location to kind of feed into the game.
Mm-hmm.
What is one of your favorite D&D in a castle memories from either your campaign or during your downtime?
Yeah, one of my favorite D&D in a castle memories. Um, I think honestly, when my players are satisfied and feel they've had a good game, that is the most satisfying feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I can think back to all of my groups so far and how happy they were at the end, and know that I did a good job. I will say also though, one of my scariest memories of D&D in a castle is that one time I was there for 2 sessions in a row and my laptop died. And I mean it died, like it bricked. It was done.
Oops. I
I was planning on running the same adventure for the most part twice in a row, because I had prepared one adventure and I wanted to see how two different groups did the same adventure. It couldn't have happened at a better time for my computer to die, because everything was on there. Because all of my players, I was able to get a computer to use for round two. All of my players from round one sent me all of their notes, sent me the maps that I had made, and sent me everything so I was prepared for the next game, which I wouldn't have been able to do had they not. I had everything backed up, but it was back in America. I couldn't get access to it. So how cool is that?
That was so sweet that they banded together to help you out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How different were those two campaigns from one another?
They were. I once again was able to tweak and everything, but they were definitely different. But it was interesting to see how two groups took to the same setting, vastly differently.
For your upcoming Middle Earth campaign, what kind of a character would do well in that story? Do we want a bunch of Aragorns? Do you want a bunch of Samwise Gamgees? Like, what would work?
I mean, I think 100 Samwise Gamgees could beat any gorilla.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
but yeah, I mean, I think what anyone wants to play. The reason why I'm doing it right after the One Ring is destroyed is because look, everyone when you do a campaign before the One Ring is destroyed, everyone knows what's going to happen, right? And even J.R.R. Tolkien worked on a sequel to the Lord of the Rings, and he abandoned it. He actually wrote it to take place 100 years later, when everyone had sort of forgotten what had happened. But he decided that it was too dark and abandoned it. But 1 year after the ring is destroyed, there would be a lot of factions and um, a lot of areas that weren't really changed yet. So I thought, let's give people an open world to work in, but yet still are familiar with a lot of the places and creatures that they might encounter.
So cool. If I were not really into Lord of the Rings or haven't had a long history of lore with it, would I still have fun at that table?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean
can I join?
it's still Dungeons and Dragons, and you can still be almost whatever character you want, depending on the setting that we've created.
Amazing. Awesome. So bring your characters to JCM's Middle Earth campaign
Mm-hmm.
or 100 Samwise Gamgees.
Right.
Yeah, why not? How would you describe the castle community here? You've touched a little bit on it, but
I love the castle community. I try to talk to as many people as I can during our meals and breaks, because when you're playing 8 hours a day with your group, you're kind of locked in with your group, right? But we do other activities at night, and we did the ghost hunt last night, and I didn't see you there.
no, maybe I was haunting the place.
Maybe you're playing the
Maybe
ghost.
I
No,
was
I don't
playing.
think so. It seemed like there were some real ghosts out there. Um, but yeah, the community here is great. Everyone is really friendly, and I do my best to try to talk to as many people as I can that
Yeah.
aren't in my group too.
What do you think feeds into that cast, like that community, the castle?
I mean, if you like to play Dungeons and Dragons and that's your main hobby, I think there's a certain camaraderie in that with with others, where we have a almost hidden language that we can speak to each other that not everyone can. And so once another person is into your hobby, there's you can relax a little bit, and you can be more yourself, and it's okay to talk about your seventh level sorcerer and not have anyone judge you.
Yeah, we all know what we're talking about.
Right.
How about a new player coming to the castle? Have you ever had a kind of a newer player join your table?
Yeah, like maybe a family member or something
Yeah.
like that. I think that's the great thing about 5th edition D&D is that the rules are such where it's pretty easy to jump in and learn. I mean, I always suggest to people, if you're going to start for the first time, play at level 1, because the game is really designed for you to learn the game as you level up. So the more powers you get, the powers that you had already. But for someone at the castle, I think that you're surrounded by so many people that just want you to do well and want you to have a good time. I think it's a problem.
Makes it easy. Yeah, we've had a lot of new players come and played one session before, or never played and played one shots, and then just became obsessed with it. So I think it's a great place to play D&D because you're getting an intense 24 hours experience in it. You get really good by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite part about the castle itself? Is it the ambiance, the game, the food, the ghost tours?
Right. Yeah, I love the settings of all the castles. That's kind of my favorite part of it. If we're talking about the physical castle, yeah, then the different of all the different castles, I love exploring the architecture and just the layout and you know the history, all of it.
So you're going to be excited for our new castle we're going to. You'll be at the different castle in spring.
Yeah,
Not new castle, but a different castle for you in spring, which is even older than the one we've been at. So what are you most excited about to see there?
the differences, yeah,
Yeah.
between the ones before and now. So, yeah.
Mhm.
And it's not a Newcastle, but it is near
It
Newcastle.
is near Newcastle. It's
Yeah.
not Newcastle, near Newcastle. Just fun. So it's going to be a really good time. I think you're going to have fun. I'm excited to hear what you find about that castle while we're there.
Okay.
Yeah.
If there's not a ghost, I'm going to be disappointed because there's ghosts at every castle.
I'm sure there's a ghost at
Okay.
that castle. If not, we will find one for you,
All right.
Jason.
Thanks.
I'll
Yeah.
bring a ghost for you.
Thank you.
How does the environment affect your game?
I think when it's fully immersive like this, your game can go to another level. You don't think about the outside world and you just concentrate on what's happening in front of you. And I think that in our ever distracted world, more and more things are pulling us away from games like this. And when you're at the castle, nothing really will pull you away.
No, you eat, sleep, and roll dice,
Mm-hmm.
as we say. Amazing. What is your approach to setting the mood and atmosphere for the session at the castle? Are you one of those DMs that likes to prep the set state place, or how do you roll?
I do certainly like to use a lot of terrain. I
Mm-hmm.
like to give my players something to look at right away so that they know what they are in for. Love to use music. And what's great about how popular D&D has become is there's so much fantasy music out there and available. I've written some, but I tend to not even use my own. I just use my favorite ones that I've come across,
Yeah.
and that really can set the mood in a extra way.
Amazing. One of my favorite things that you do is that you've build a terrain and then you cover it and people discover it room by room.
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
want them to see it all at once.
exactly. What is your process for designing a dungeon? Is it just kind of on the fly? Like, how do you do that?
I'll map out roughly what I want, and then I'll see what terrain we have available, and I'll improvise.
Yeah, yeah.
Another thing about being a DM too is you could make a 47 room dungeon and maybe your big bad is in room 47, but if you decide as the dungeon master that they're going to encounter him in room 16, they're going to encounter him in room 16. They're never going to know.
Not until you peel back that layer and
Yeah, and
he
then
sees.
maybe he walked over there, who knows.
Yeah, yeah, it's his dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. How do you balance like combat encounters and challenge them without being overwhelming? You said you do a little bit of balance of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you?
Well, I always check the challenge rating of the monsters and think about the group that we have and make sure that it's not something that's going to either be too easy or kill half the party. But I got
Okay.
close yesterday.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Uh, yeah, it was just unfortunately a couple of bad rolls. If rolls don't go your way, you never know what could happen.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to give us a little uh, one-liner about what's going on with your current campaign? So, what is your current campaign like? It's called Fey Run Ho.
Right, yeah, and it is a seafaring adventure that starts in the Moonshay Isles, and my party has already destroyed two sailing ships. Or
Two
they've been,
sailing ships.
yeah, they were assigned a ship, and it is now in pieces. And then another ship came to pick them up, and it is now in pieces.
Okay. Did you expect that?
I mean, it depended on what they were going to do. The second one I did not expect at all, but I rolled with what the characters did.
Amazing, and that's D and D.
Mm-hmm.
That's D and D. I would love to know from you, a longtime dungeon master and player, what makes a great dungeon master, and what do you try to achieve as a DM?
I think what makes a great dungeon master, besides a good vocabulary and a good understanding of the environment that you are setting out for your players, is also somebody who listens to your players and makes sure that they're engaged and always thinking about what's going to happen next.
Right, always thinking.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of what are your players like? Your current players?
I've got some that want to just bash every door and jump right in. I've got others that want to maybe poison the people that rescued them.
Oops.
I've got some that are very noble that want to kind of do everything by the book, and then, a few in between.
Okay. Do you find you have that kind of a same spread in most of your games at the castle?
Yeah, I think so. When you're dealing with 5 or 6 strangers, or maybe like 2 people will come in. One time at the castle, I did have a group of 5 friends who had been playing together for 20 years.
Wow.
And their DM was now their player.
Wow.
So no pressure.
No pressure
I
at
survived.
all.
They were great though. But usually it's a group of 5 or 6 strangers, or maybe 2 people know each other or whatever. Mm-hmm. So you've got people that have that were raised playing D&D different ways and look at it differently. So it's interesting to bring all of those different personalities together and see what comes about.
Yeah. I would actually love to know how you find them coming in as strangers and how it looks like at the end. Do they bond? Like,
usually they do, yeah. And I've seen groups stay in touch with each other for years.
Amazing. Or like the group that helped you out with your second.
Yeah, I still talk to them.
Amazing. What about the future of D&D are you excited for?
The future of D&D that I'm excited for.
We're just excited about what's going on now.
Yeah. I'm just, the great thing about the future of D&D is that it's up to you.
Amazing. There you go. Right from Jason Charles Miller. It's up to you. So I would love to know, we have a bunch of Dungeon Masters coming to Spring. You're one of them, which we're so super excited about. I would love to know whose table you would want to be at. So I'm going to give you the list and you tell me, who do you want to play at?
Okay.
One is you. You can pick yourself if you'd like, if you think you'd be a good time. We have Mark Meir. We have Kelly Lynn D'Angelo. We have Jaden King at Family Mode. We have Hardcore Mode with Beth the Bard. We have Chronicle Mode with Elisa Teague, Edward Spence, Chris Hately, and GM Tim.
What's Chronicle Mode?
Chronicle Mode is 2 weeks back to back, one campaign.
Wow.
So you know how you do your 2 weeks? You have your one campaign going for 2 weeks. So those 6 days.
Well, I would pick Mark Meir.
Okay, why?
Well, Mark Meir is the greatest actor that has ever lived. He makes Daniel Day-Lewis look like you're watching a kindergarten's play. And he applies that acting prowess to every D&D game I've ever seen him run. He brought me in as a guest player for a combat or 2, but Mark Meir is the greatest actor of our time.
Wow, I would love to see you two at a table together, I'm sure. That would be a lot of fun. Amazing. What is your approach to using voices and accents as NPCs?
I try to use a lot of different voices and use my voice acting skills as much as I can. And then we go back in the next day and I forgot what accent I used. So I have to make little notes to make sure I get the voice right each time.
Yeah. I can imagine that's a hard thing to keep track of with everything you're planning at the castle.
You got to do it though.
You got to do it. It's a lot of fun. What is your technique for ending a session on a high note? Or do you even end on high notes? How do you like to end your sessions?
I like to end a session when it feels naturally right to end. So I try not to look at the clock too much. We've got to get to a certain place. We've got to get to a certain arc in the story or the climax of the story. So I hopefully tend to make each day either on a cliffhanger, end each day either on a cliffhanger or on something triumphant, but then we know there's more work to be done.
Okay. Can I ask you some quick fire questions about you as a player, or what you would like for at D&D spells, and just kind of a bit about you?
Okay.
All right. So if you could have one D&D spell in real life, what would it be?
Mage Hand.
Mage Hand, why?
Because it's awesome. You can just grab things, move them, anything within 30 feet. I could move that. I could grab that. I could open that drawer. I could open that door. I could
Amazing.
unlock that door. Mage Hand is an overpowered, underused spell.
Very, very good. Yeah. All right. If you could have one D&D creature as a familiar, which would it be?
Ooh, it would be one that I could also fly on. So I don't know, Manticore.
Is that a familiar? I guess
It's gonna be for me.
Okay. What class of character do you have most in common with?
Probably Bard.
Probably Bard.
Yeah. In fact, people expect me to play Bard a lot, and I'm often resistant to that because we play Dungeons and Dragons to escape the regular world, and my job is Bard, so I don't want to be a Bard in the fantasy world. Let me be something else.
What is your favorite class to play?
Honestly, Fighter.
Why?
Because it's very singular in its purpose, and I love the 5th edition Fighter with all the powers and things that you can get. I love playing a fighter.
Amazing. What kind of D&D species would you like to be able to play in real life?
Ooh, I mean, everybody wants to be an elf, right?
Yeah, I like it. Which D&D setting would you like to visit on a holiday?
I'd love to go to Neverwinter.
Okay, why?
Yeah, because it's Neverwinter.
Amazing. I mean, that's very good.
Yeah, I'm joking. No, I enjoy the lore around Neverwinter and the sort of grandiose setting of that city. So Waterdeep would be fun too. Candlekeep, maybe for a retreat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Silvery Moon is kind of like an elvish city set in some forest areas. So
she's got to do a tour. Do a holiday tour.
Sword Coast tour.
Sword Coast tour. I like it. What is your favorite snack to eat while playing D&D?
That depends. I think you and I both know about how much I like cookies.
I do know you like cookies.
But can't have too many in front of me because I will just keep eating them without looking. So I would say my favorite snack is Doritos.
Doritos. Oh, that's a good one. All right. Awesome. Well, last one. If you could attune to any magic item from D&D, which would you choose and why?
Ooh, a flying carpet.
Okay. Flying carpet for very practical reasons.
Exactly.
That and your mage hand,
right?
Unstoppable.
Look out.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today. That was super fun. I love having you here at Thalian's Rest in our USA castle, and I'm very excited to see you at our different castle near Newcastle in the UK. That one's called Lothmere Castle. So it's going to be so much fun to have you, and I think your settings sort of fit in with the castle as well.
Oh, awesome.
So, yeah.
Can't wait to see it.
Awesome. So could you do me a favor and give your players an invitation to come join you at the castle in the spring? Bring them to D&D in a castle, and we will transition out.
Citizens of Middle Earth, come one, come all, to my campaign in the spring of 2026, where we shall explore the land of Middle Earth and go wherever you would like to go.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, guys, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.